Yeah, my hair might look disheveled right now, but I was doing important work. You see, I was sitting right there in that spot, right up against that pillow, watching anime for the past 12 or so hours on my laptop. And not just any anime, I was watching one specific anime called Summertime Rendering. It's been a while since I've watched a new anime, so I've been on the lookout for a little bit, and I think I literally just came across this one in some like top 10 anime post on Instagram. It's actually a Hulu original anime, so I ended up buying a subscription for the first time in years just to watch it, and needless to say, I was hooked. It's about a 17-year-old boy named Shinpei who's been living in Tokyo for the last 2 years, but he has to return to his home, which is located on an island, in order to attend the funeral of one of his childhood friends. Now, his childhood friend who had just died, her name is Ushuo, and her death was labeled as a drowning. But that story doesn't seem to line up with the details of the death, including strangulation marks on Ushuo's neck. Very strange for someone who just drowned. So Shinpei does some investigating, and it turns out that her death might be related to something the locals have been calling the shadow sickness. A scenario where you see a shadow or a doppelganger of yourself, and it will eventually murder you, take your place, and then murder your entire family. But that's not all. This show does in fact include a time loop mechanic. Shinpei finds out that he can go back in time so that he can figure out what the heck is going on this island. I know, at this point it's a worn out trope, but I think it's actually really well done here. I don't think it necessarily even brings anything new to the table in terms of a time loop scenario in an anime, but I do just think that the story as a whole is really well written. All of the characters are super likable. Shout out my boy Nezu. That is my boy right there. And the way all the details start to add up, especially in the beginning, is just really interesting. Some very suspenseful first few episodes in this anime. It's only 25 episodes long, so it's certainly not an anime that overstays its welcome. I will say I think it starts to lose steam over time as the mystery starts to unravel. I think the show is definitely at its best when it's playing into really suspenseful moments and even horror, but later in the show it starts to kind of turn into an action flick instead of a horror show, and it's definitely isn't as interesting to me at that point. But it's still very good, don't get me wrong. And I should mention here that the art in the show throughout the series is also very good. I think my only complaint with this anime is that the last couple of episodes, they kind of just start pulling stuff out of their ass in order to explain certain things. It all still makes enough sense within the context, but I do think that that final fight leans a little bit too much into some deus ex machina. It wasn't a bad last fight per se, but I think they could have retconned that entire thing and I would have enjoyed the show slightly more. With that said, I do still think the show sticks the landing with a great, really adorable final episode. I don't want to give anyone the wrong impression that the ending is bad just because the final fight wasn't exactly my favorite. I do still think the ending as a whole was very good. I guess another thing I should mention is that there is a smidge bit of fan service in the show. It's not egregious by any means. You're going to be seeing more cicada shots than panty shots in the show, but there are panty shots. And normally fan service in shows don't bother me, but this is an anime about teenagers, so it does rub me the wrong way a little bit, even if it is harmless and not terrible. And to be fair to them, it is also a plot point in the show somehow, but it is there. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but it's not like it's trying to shove teenage ass and titties in your face every episode. It's extremely infrequent, so to me it's not that big a deal. But yeah, I guess I should just mention that. But yeah, Summertime Rendering, if you happen to have a Hulu subscription and enjoy anime, I can highly recommend it. It's a well-written story with great characters. I didn't know how much I would like it going into it, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. So much so that I watched it all in a day. And anyway, I just wanted to give my thoughts on that right after I finished watching it. I'm probably going to go right to bed after this, so I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.